Yep.
All
Nice
right.
special game.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let me make sure my audio's working. There we go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tales from the Table, our little D&D game here on Twitch. My name is Kevin, aka It's So Sublime. That's what you can find me everywhere across the internet. And same for our channel, Tabletop Down. You can find us on YouTube and TikTok and all those things. We don't do much on social media yet, but as within the next week or two, I should have a lot more of these videos uploaded. But either way, you can find us on social media. That's what I'm getting at. But welcome to Tales from the Table. This is our Descent into Avernus, Baldur's Gate game that we are just now getting started. We are in the prologue still. I am running the Fall of Elturel prologue that you can find on the DM's Guild if you're interested in running this adventure for yourself or your own group before you guys start Baldur's Gate. It is a great prologue into this campaign. But let me go ahead and not spend too much time on it. You'll figure out a lot about our game as we go, but some of the things I do want to touch points on is that we are playing this essentially straight out of the book, except for the addition of adding Fall of Elturel. And we have also added, as per usual with all my streams, I like to make them interactive, so you guys can help out a little bit. As far as Baldur's Gate and the Descent into Avernus, we all know that that's tied to the Blood War, that raging war between devils, demons, and angels that have been raging for a millennia, the ultimate battle of good and evil. So we've added that option for you guys. Who do you serve? You know what I mean? Do you want to help the forces of good or the forces of evil? And if you take a look over here on this side, you'll see that there are some awesome options for you guys to interact with the game and support either the players or the GM and the bad guys if you check out our new ko-fi.com page. So it's ko-fi.com/tabletop down. There is a link down in the panels below. There should be, if I'm not mistaken, a reminder that goes through in the chat every so often, so you guys can find that. And if you go there, check out the store page and you'll see all the cool things that you can buy for the characters, including random potions, random scrolls, a list of what scrolls and potions are on those lists, and ways to buy each character advantage or healing potions, things like that, or even call in a helpful or sinister ally that can help in combat or out of combat. But yeah, feel free to check that out. At least take a look at it, make sure that you know how it works, and that you know that you can get involved and make a big impact on our game as far as that goes. But I just wanted to get all that stuff out of the way. Now that we've done all the shilling things, let's go ahead and get started with our players. Let me move first to our lovely Hunter Rose, Mr. Alejandro. If you'd like to introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, I am playing the party's bard, Alejandro. He's a bit of a scoundrel and a bit of a womanizer, gets himself in a lot of trouble with that. And I'm looking forward to tonight's game.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's shoot across the... Oh, no, this way. Shoot across the room. We'll go to Numo the Gnome. Tell us about yourself there, Numerousness.
I am Numerousness, the player, playing Numo the Gnome. Rogue character / contortionist jester. So
Nice. I love that you found a
Baldur
way to
should be as
bring
cool.
back the acrobat, you know what I mean? As far as that goes, because we haven't had that class since like what, 2nd edition, and you somehow found a way to rework it, you know? I like it. It's a new spin
We'll
on an
see.
old class. We'll see
It's an
how well it
attempt.
will. Yeah, I didn't say you were doing it well. I just said that you were doing it. You know, as far as that goes.
100%
But either way, that works. All right, let's move on down to bottom corner then, and we'll head to Maxwell. So let's go around that way. Yeah, kind of doing a zigzag pattern. My bad. We'll get to you.
I'm just trying to
I
figure out
didn't
which
study.
Gets me.
I'm Maxwell. I'm the party's tinkerer, and apparently they're new Leroy Jenkins based on how the last one went. And we're gonna see how many times I can die tonight.
I am I am telling you now, we are out of Revivify scrolls. That was the only one, as it turns out. There was one in the entire world, and it has been expended.
Oh,
But yeah, no, you definitely got a close call last time. But due to the quick thinking of our kind of the group's leader or patron or whatever you want to call it, there, she was able to do some quick thinking, get you back up on the road. And this guy over here, we're just gonna skip him. This guy, we're just gonna ignore this guy until it becomes more appropriate. But I think that is actually probably where we'll start with tonight's adventure, if I can be honest. We'll do a quick recap. Let me switch over to this screen here. We're going to do a quick recap of where we left off, and then I will make mention of where this guy comes from. And just in case anybody is curious, by the way, our wizard that we had with us last week, turns out scheduling wasn't as comfortable for him as he thought. So he did ask if he could politely back out, and that's fine. So we have found a. Yeah, I thought. There we go. Cool. We're back.
there
We're back.
we are.
Yep. No. Let's see, refresh if needed. There we go. Sorry about that. We are back. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I guess I moved too many pages at once and it glitched for a second. But let me go ahead and restate what I was getting at then. Is that we were just started, or we're going to do a quick recap where we left off last week, and our players had just came across a young girl in need of some assistance. So as the players were making their way towards the woods to investigate this rumor of this cult of the dragon that has apparently gotten so brazen to become more open and conducting rituals in the woods during day and night. Throughout the city, the multiple cultists have been found between Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, Alterel, several of the major cities, and a kind of a task force has been formed to start rooting out these cultists at all corners, this cult of the dragon. Apparently they'd even burnt down Greenest to the south not too long ago, within the months recent. So as our party traveled north of El Terrell to try and investigate this with their group kind of commander, Rhea, excuse me, a young... I do have a cold this week, I apologize. Give me one sec. Goodness, guys. I'm going to die right here on screen. It's going to happen. I've had a cold for the last 2 days. It's killing me. Again, let me say, Rhea, our group commander... Nope, still going to cough. Give me a second. Of course, during the intro, right? Alright, let's try it again. The group began moving north to deal with this issue. Oh, somebody dropped out. They'll be back. It's probably Numerous.
We
right?
lost Numerous. Yeah.
He will be back, and it will realign everything. He has some occasional drops with Discord. It's a problem we've gotten used to. Yeah, he'll be right back. But let me go ahead and finish our recap. The group began moving north to deal with this cult of the dragon. And while they were doing so, they encountered a group, a elderly priest conducting a wedding of two young people, who asked the group to kind of officiate the wedding by sitting in and listening as they made their vows. As they were listening to these two young couples make their vows and finally, pronounced man and wife, they began to hear screams off in the distance, and following those screams, it led them to find a young girl wearing a rainbow scarf, hiding in a tree, screaming at several wolves that were circling down below. Rushing into action, but maybe not with the most... well thought out strategy, our group ran in to try and help this young girl. Immediately, these wolves surrounded our small gnome or halfling artificer. I believe you're a halfling,
gnome.
right? Gnome, okay.
Gnome.
Artificer. Yeah, they surrounded our gnome artificer and brought him low rather quickly. After that, though, the group was able, with the help of Rhea, to work through these 3 wolves and a fiendishly hellish looking wolf that had seemed to be leading the other 3 in some way, almost like a hive mind situation. But they were able to eventually defeat all 3 wolves after losing, 1 character and a horse in the process. But as they realized that Maxwell had fallen during the combat, Rhea, using some quick thinking and a scroll that she had stored aside, was able to use Revivify to bring him back to life. Barely, by only a couple of rounds before that was no longer an option. But she was able to restore him to life and get him back onto his feet. We ended our session last week as his eyes began opening and he took his first breaths. He could look up to the sky and see the bright red hair and rainbow scarf of a young girl standing over top of him, saying, Is he going to be okay? And that's where we left off. So let's go ahead and start off with a slightly different approach, though. So that was these characters. As I said, there was a whole elite task force put together for this cult of the dragon, so to speak, and a number of them were sent out to, work with different portions of the cult, through different areas, different, parts of the city, as well as the forest. Off in another portion of the forest, we are going to zoom in from an above head shot, panning through the trees as we pan down on an elderly looking, not elderly, but older looking, I keep saying elderly, an older gentleman, probably appearing to be late 40s, early 50s, carrying a sword, wearing a suit of armor, that is making his way back from having just dispatched. Oh, there we go. Get Numerous back in here. Having just you guys will switch spots when he gets his cam on. Having just dispatched 2 or 3 cultists himself, is now making his way through the woods. So as we're seeing, this character walking through, maybe wiping a little bit of blood off their sword as they've just had a successful hunt of their own to deal with 1 or 2 of these cultists. You begin hearing the sounds, Vanril, of shouting as well as fighting. You can hear the clash of sword and steel, as well as the whinnies of horses and screams. Eventually, you hear the shouts of a young girl screaming, "Oh no!" And you are able to trail the sounds to the edge of the woodlines, where you come to a clearing near the road that you were heading back towards, and you see a group of what seems to be fellow Hellriders. At least one of them you would recognize, and that would be Rhea. I can't remember her last name right off the top of my head, but either way, Rhea is currently leaned over a small halfling who seems to have fallen, but is still alive, at least from what you can tell. So if I'm not mistaken, I dropped your token in right there. So you're making your way out of the woods as these characters are just watching Maxwell wake up from his little nap. You do, like I said, again, see this, bright red-haired girl wearing a rainbow collar, or not collar, rainbow scarf around her neck. And she is leaned over the halfling with a tear in her eye, looking very concerned for his well-being. Nearby, there is at least 1 horse that is lying on its side, cut down. You can see several cut marks in it, and the bodies of 3 wolves and something that looks like a very large wolf, but with embers still slowly cooling all across its body as if it was caught on fire, or made of fire, one of the 2. So that's where we begin. You guys, I think our party probably wouldn't notice you yet, but yeah, what would Vanril's first idea be when he sees this party?
Since he recognized one of them's probably fellow Hill Riders, he would try to make his way over there. as the way walking over, trying to assess the situation best he can before shouting out or saying anything right away. Before fully shouting out as he
Gotcha.
starts to make his way over.
Go ahead and give me a perception check if you can, just so we can see how much you
All
can
right.
quickly identify. You can use perception or investigation, maybe whatever's best for you. But
I'll use perception.
all right. 16, like I said, you can quickly assess the situation. It does look like there was a battle that ensued here, and it looks like they're currently performing a little bit of medical treatment on this gnome. That's, that would be, you immediately get a quick sense of what probably has transpired. You know what I mean? You could tell that these people have been injured, they've been attacked, whether the wolves attacked them or vice versa, that's unclear, but you can see that they definitely suffered some heavy damage. And, this girl, seems to be unscathed at the moment, but is definitely concerned for the well-being of this group. So it seems like there's no threat left in the area. You're not seeing any other wolves that are nearby or any other creatures that may be of a threat. It looks like they've dispatched that problem, but they may still need some medical assistance as far as that goes. And they're definitely down a horse. Curiosity, did you bring your horse with you? I will leave that up to you.
I would say that since he was more on foot going out this way, trying to track him, he wouldn't have brought it out. It would have created too much noise.
Okay.
Even though he's not that great at stealth, but
So walking back on foot as you exit the woods. Gotcha. All right, I was just curious on that, but yeah, you see the party as they're leaned over this young man. So if you start to approach, I think at that point, of course, Maxwell, you laying on the ground probably wouldn't be the first to notice. Alejandro, you were kind of off in that direction anyway, if I remember. You were kind of like over here somewhere. Alejandro and Numo, if you could give me a what's your passive perception? Let's do that. I wrote these down so I'd never have to ask you that, and now I'm asking you that.
Hold on a second.
I got it right here. There we go.
Passive perception is 13.
13 and 11. Awesome. Okay, I need to change this character's name to Vanril. I got all of you guys written down. Nice. I would say at this point, Alejandro, you would definitely notice the sounds of scuffling feet as they're making their way down this gravel road. And as you turn around, you would see what appears to be an armored man approaching you. He doesn't seem to be like, sneaking up on you or anything like that, but just walking up with a little caution. But you do recognize that he would have, I would assume, Vanril, you would probably have some flair that would represent him as a fellow Hell Rider as well.
Fellow traveler, fellow Hell Rider, a matter of fact. Could you please come and help us? We've run into some trouble.
all right. He starts to make his way over as he just shouts out.
Maxwell, as you're looking up, you see the two faces kind of, opposite each other as they're looking over top of you. One of Rhea, who is currently more or less mounted on your chest at the moment, as she was trying to read that. She just kind of, she straddled the gnome and is reading this scroll. You kind of may see the last flashes of it disappear as your eyes are fluttering. There might be a couple of ash and a little bit of cinder as this thing has, burned away. But yeah, Rhea Mantlemorn on one side, but also the face of a sobbing, young girl. She probably seems to be in her early teens, maybe 15 or 16, with this, kind of wild red hair. Think almost Hermione Granger, kind of wild hair, and this brilliant scarf that's wrapped around her neck that's just all the colors of yarn that she could find to make this thing. And she is just looking at, is he going to be okay? He damned well better. Scroll cost me a month's worth of commissions, whatever it would be.
I look back and forth between them and then finally managed to rasp out, and I thought my horoscope was being metaphorical.
Are
Oh,
you
yeah,
gonna
that's
live?
right. I forgot
Oh, he's
all
alive.
about your your reading. That's funny. Yeah, you guys would see that he's alive. So as you approach Van Hurl, you do see that this gnome kind of is at least talking, and at this point you would also see a sigh of relief kind of wash over the young girl with the scarf as she relaxes for a minute. She's like, "Why would you do that? I mean, I appreciate the help, but don't get yourself killed for me." As she kind of yells down at him. Thought I told you, and you'd hear Rhea, of course, say, I thought I told none of you to get killed. You're making me look bad. I told you about that, as she climbs off of your chest and comes back to her feet. She would take a look at the newcomer to this party. Vanril, welcome.
Ah, pleasure to
As-
see you again.
I wish I could say the same, but as you can see, we've had a bit of a scrape, but it's at least nice to know we're not alone out here. Are you traveling alone? Any others with you?
No, I was out this way alone. This one down here injured. Looks down at the the gnome still laying on
You
his back.
two know each other.
I hold up one thumb and go, I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Right. I believe Alejandro, you asked if they knew each other.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I got to get into my Rhea Mantelmorn voice. Hold on one second. I gotta fix that. I gotta add Ko-Fi Streambot to my audio silence. I got a thing reading something in my ear. Anyway, yeah, Rhea. I gotta get the Rhea voice going on. She says, he is new recruit. He recently joined Hell Riders, and I am aware of him from there. I don't know him personally, but I do know him. I'm sure I've fucked this voice up, but we'll get there. We'll dial it in.
As she's speaking to them, he sort of walks over to the gnome that's still on the ground, sort of looks him over to see if there's any sort of injury still left.
We'll say, I
They're
think it just brings you back to health at 1 HP, so you're probably still
Yeah.
looking a little rough.
I
So-
look uncannily like I've had wolves chewing on me.
So he sort of, reaches his hand out and sort of just slowly goes over where he looked like he was bitten the worst and uses 6 points of the lay on hands, one to sort of heal him up for 6 hit points.
Nice.
Oh boy.
You do start
Many
to,
thanks.
to feel a little bit of, as this, it's kind of strange. This guy that you don't know walks over, just kind of leans over and then starts washing a hand across your stomach. But as he does, you notice that the bite marks behind where his hand trails seem to start to re-stitch themselves. Not completely healed. There will be scarring, of course, at least for a couple of days, but you do see them start to scab over really quickly. It's almost like watching a wound heal in hyperspeed, as these wounds begin to close in behind one another and heal over. And you do feel
Actually-
surprisingly better.
He's actually the third person to do that within the last minute or two. So at this point, it's becoming the new norm.
That's funny.
I offer my hand to the strange man manhandling my throat, and I say, "Pleasure to meet you. Any vague, brief acquaintance of our leader is a brave. Greet. You get what I'm going for. Someone ate my throat earlier."
Fair enough. He takes your hand and sort of pulls you up onto your feet.
I am now upright.
It's definitely not too hard with him being a gnome in
Yeah.
size, and you being this big kind of tall guy. Just for a quick rundown though, as he's kind of like, as you're pulling him up, what does he see to give you kind of a quick description? Because I don't think we did this
So-
with a lot of the characters, but we've gotten small
Yeah.
details. But
So as he sort of looks looming over him, and sort of picks him up as he realizes you see a sort of long, sort of swept back, grayish, nearing almost white hair with a full same sort of color beard. His eyes sort of a luminous yellow, so they're light, like sort of slightly glowing, but not heavily. But as he sort of lifts you up to your feet, very pale.
nice. Yeah, it's almost got like a sheen over the eyes. It's hard to tell if you're just catching a reflection there, if it's actually like a glow at this type, kind of with the brightness of the day, but you could definitely tell that there's something special there. You know, like a glint within the eye for sure. Let's
Axel
see. Good.
takes one look and goes, "Oh my gosh, Angel Santa!"
He just sort of lets out like a hearty laugh. He just pulls him up. It's like, I haven't heard that one before.
Haven't heard that this week. That's good stuff. Says, well, I'm glad to see that at least your spirits are still good. I told you not to get killed. You're making me look bad. Oh no. And so at this point, you look over and she see that she does see the horse. I'm definitely doing the Alejandro Spanish thing again. But she sees the horse, and she kind of has this like mournful look as she walks over to it, and she, I've had this horse for a while. He was a good horse, more useful than you.
You do not have scroll for horse.
Let me see. I got a key in on her voice. Das Vitania. You know what I mean? There we go. I do not. No scroll for horse. It is unfortunate.
It's a shame.
She
Does
says,
anyone know a necromancer?
I assume we will be on foot from here forth. It's probably best to leave them in the woods anyway. But it is still unfortunate. He was a good horse. I like him. And you see her look a little sad.
There was something off about one of those wolves. I would like to investigate it.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and check out that wolf, as you're looking over again, you see the same thing that our newcomer has seen. Vanril had kind of noticed on approach, is that no longer still with that fire rolling over its exterior. At this point, it looks almost like a log that has been pulled from a fire, as it has, you know, cinders and coals along its wounds, where it looks like it is still cooling, but no longer flaming as it was at certain points during that battle. But you would see something that looks like a normal wolf, but twice its size, maybe a dire wolf, but with this strange fiery exterior. If you want to make any sort of medicine or nature or even a
well, I want to
Arcana?
disembowel the creature to see if it actually has guts that come out.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, you want to start cutting this thing open. I'm assuming you probably have a dagger on hand to do so.
I have a dagger. I start sawing at the corpse.
Yeah.
One thing that you notice is as you put your hand on it, it does have like a warmth to it, but it is not as fiery hot as it initially looks. Even these spots where you can run your hands over these coals, they are still warm, but not, you know, burning you as a log would if it was pulled from the fire. But as you stab your dagger down in and begin ripping this thing open, you do inside find organs. You know what I mean? I don't know if you, what, do you have any training in medicine or anything like, or nature or anything like that?
I have a +3 for nature.
Nice. Okay. So you've probably skinned an animal or two. You know what I mean? You've probably, you know, been hunting, especially, you know, in a world where we hunt and kill for our most of our meals. You
I
would
don't
definitely
really have. Unfortunately, my nature is not really working today.
not
only
your
roll a
strong
4.
suit today, for sure. Yeah, well, like I said, just pulling it open, you do see that there are organs, but it's strange in the way that they are blackened and dark. The blood that kind of spills out of this thing is almost like a thick, oily sludge. You know, it has all the proper pieces, but they don't have the proper color and consistency, if that makes sense. This thing has
This is
definitely
not
been affected.
normal.
Yeah.
This is not normal. Something is wrong with this wolf.
While he's doing that, can I see if this works? Attempt to use divine sense to see if I can sense if it was anything that was it celestial, fiend, or undead?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here, because I need to pull this up myself.
Or Fae.
Or yeah,
These
or
could
fae.
be demonic
Yeah.
looking fairy wolves.
I believe it's celestial, fae, fiend, or undead. This is absolutely among one of those. That's for sure. I don't think it tells you actually which one it is, right?
Let's
So
see.
one of them
Is
does, one of them doesn't. I can't remember if it's the hunter's ability
yeah.
or the paladin ability.
Yeah, it says as a action you can detect good and evil until the next end of your turn. You can sense anything affected by the hollow spell or know the location of any celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet.
It is definitely one of those, and its
Yeah.
location is here, right in
Yeah.
front of you. You would probably go as far as to assume a fiend. Let me go ahead
Yeah.
and put this in here. Here is an image of what it looks like, if that works. That is kind of what the gist of what you're getting. It's kind of got this, darkened, exterior burnt skin almost with, almost fire rolling from the wounds where it had been cut. But it seems to be cooling at this point, almost cold, as this thing has, of course, been killed. Taking a quick look at the other two wolves, they seem to be very natural, especially with the role that you had put out there, Alejandro. They look like normal wolves to you, for sure. But even again, like even with a bad roll, having trained in that skill, you know that the organs are there, and they're the ones that are supposed to be there, the ones that you're used to seeing. They just definitely look like they've almost been affected by some sort of necrosis or burnt. And it's almost like somebody took all the organs out, burnt them, and then put them back in. But yeah, it's definitely a little unnatural. At this point, you would
Said this,
definitely.
these
Good.
cultists were dragon people. They weren't involved with elemental or anything like that.
No, I do not know of I do not know of any hellish creature. These seem to be unnatural, for sure. I don't know if this is tied to that or not. God, why did I pick to this accent? It's so hard. Yeah. Either way, I'm gonna probably break from it a little bit because I'm having a hell of a time with it.
Yeah.
She says, I do not know, what this creature is. It looks like it is from hell itself. Das
Infernal beast.
Oh.
Keep going back to the touchstone. That's where it's at. What do they call it? That Rosetta Stone. Like if I just keep looping back.
Oh, yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? That's what I was going for. Was I like that
Yeah.
voice?
Yep.
God, we got to get the people to chair. Yeah, she takes a look at it. At that point, she says, "Also, where's girl?" And you see her turning around. At this point, you actually do see that the girl is stepped away from you at this point. The girl with the scarf, and she's kind of looking around, panicked. And then you see her look towards the kind of edge of the wood line off to the north here. And from right around here, I don't have a proper token, but we'll just use a horse for the time being. You see her kind of take a sigh of relief and say, "Oh, Lonky, you're okay? Goodness, I was worried about you." And goes running off as you see a donkey that is kind of peering its way around a tree and comes trotting back towards her slowly, and it has kind of a small pack and a little bit of a saddle put on top of this donkey with several small items. Nothing like, it's not like a giant pack mule that's loaded down with things, but at this point you see her run up and she actually gives it a hug, and you see her adjust something that's around its neck as she pulls a hat that was tied on with a string that was still kind of around its neck back up and put it over his ears and pull his ears through it. And it's kind of just one of those straw hats that she has placed on top of her donkey and had holes cut out for the ears. And she kind of adjusts it. She says, "There you go. You look much better now. Come meet my new friends. They saved us. These guys are the reason you're not at dinner right now. Come say hi." And you see her start walking this donkey back over. She says, and comes more or less straight to you, Maxwell. She says, I kind of feel I owe you a bit of thanks. I'm sorry that you got hurt because of me, but if it weren't for you, I don't know if I could have fought them off on my own. Loki surely would have been, a quick meal. By the way, my name is Grace. It's good to meet you. And this is Loki the donkey. He's my friend.
I bow slightly to her and say, Maxwell, at your service. And then I look over to Loki and I go to pet him on his snout.
Gotcha. She kind of chuckles a little bit as you see him kind of rubbing on the donkey and things like that. She says, I think he likes that. By the way, thank all of you. I don't know if I would have made it through the day. I definitely would. We wouldn't have made it back to Alterel with those things on our heels. I was able to get up the tree, and I had gathered a couple rocks on my way up. This way I could throw them at it, but I was running out of rocks, and they weren't running out of steam. If you didn't come along, I may have been spending the night up there.
We're glad to be of
Yes,
assistance.
they almost got the better of us too.
Yeah, she looks at both of you and nods in kind of an appreciative way of doing so. As far as that goes, she says, I next time I guess I probably should be more careful of which road I choose, but usually this one's the best for finding travelers. By the way, again, like I said, my name's Grace. Grace Lynn. Well, let me just go ahead and tell you. And she begins kind of reeling back. You see her take a breath. She ruffles her shirt a little, or unruffles her shirt a little bit, and starts laying out a speech that you can tell is obviously well rehearsed. She says, "It's good to meet you. My name's Grace. Grace Lynn. I am a young girl that's ambitious to learn and eager to be trained in the ways of all things scholarly, and I'm out here collecting money to try and raise so that I can go to the Elturil College, so that I can learn to be a famous scholar one day. If I could, I would like to ask you," and she kind of just keeps going with her little spiel, and eventually it leads essentially to her pulling out a hat that looks very similar to the donkey's and holding it out. She says, "I'm just out here collecting money to earn, so that I could get to school. Anything that you could chip in would be greatly appreciated. Of course, you guys have already done so much. Sorry, it's part of the routine. I guess you really don't owe me anything, but I should still say thank you." And you kind of see her take a minute where she almost blushes when she realizes, like, shit, these guys just almost died for me, and now I'm asking them for money.
That sounds like a college student.
That's right. It's every stripper I've ever met, right? Just working my way through college. You know what I mean?
Wait, how many strippers have you almost
Well,
died
books would
for?
be expensive.
So many.
Take this silver piece. Use it towards your books.
As you drop a silver piece in the hat, she kind of smiles. She says, "Goodness, thank you. I really appreciate that. I don't expect much. I really want to be a famous scholar one day. I've seen all the stories and I've read all the books of the famous scholars that travel the world and dig up strange things. Have you ever heard of the Netherese? They're a magical society of people that like us, but they were crazy powerful." And she just starts getting very excited and passionate. And she says, "Unfortunately, my family isn't as well to do as some, and the school is expensive. So thank you. I'll make sure to use this." She actually takes a look down and she like smiles at the idea of it being a silver piece. It seems like it's probably more than she's made all day. You see 2 or 3 coppers in there that she's collected, but that's about it. She says, "Here, let me give you something." And you see her take her scarf, and as she kind of unrolls it, she pulls a thread off of it, about 6 inches long, piece of the yarn, and it's rainbow in color, and she says, "Here." It's not much, but it's all I've got. And if you keep a hold of it, one day when I'm a famous scholar, you can come to me and find me in El Terrell, and I'll give you a lesson all of your own. I'll teach you anything that I have learned, and I'll give you a private lesson. It's the least I could do as a way to return the favor.
I would be so honored.
Me and Lonky will go quite far here soon. We've nearly collected enough to get our first semester.
Be safe going back to the city.
I will. I again thank all of you. She takes a minute to kind of nod. She says, it means a lot to me that you were able to help me, but I think me and Loki should probably get back to town before our mother worries. Is there anything else that I could do? I kind of feel as if I owe you a little bit. I feel bad that you had to get involved in all this for me.
Look, just promise you'll be careful, all right? I was hearing a story about some girl that just got like cornered in a tree by wolves recently. So
I think I've heard that one too. I'll make sure to mention it to all the scholars. She says, I definitely understand. Well, you guys have a great day or quest.
Actually,
I don't know what you're doing, but good.
one moment, there might be something. So I'm going to go over to the giant dead wolf that has been gutted earlier for in the name of science. How hard would it be for me to remove the head?
I mean, how much time do you want to spend on it, really? That's the real question. I mean, it's not going to fight back or anything, but it's a rather, hard, depending on what tools you have at your disposal, Do you have like a hacksaw, or are you trying to do this with a dagger? It'll take 5 minutes with a dagger. You could still cut it off. Cut all the meat around and then break the bone, and you can remove the head.
I'm going to point to Angel Santa and say, hey, can you help me take this thing's head off? I bet if she shows up at the college with the head of like a fiery, weird wolf thing, they might let her in just to see what it looks like. And then she's got a foot in the door.
Fair enough. He sort of unsheathes his longsword and looks down
Whoa,
at it.
hang on here. I dig a hand axe out of my gear and pass it over, saying, you don't want to wreck the really good sword on this thing.
No, right. She's it back, takes a hand axe. Like, well, this could work.
You see, as soon as you pull out the sword, she goes, oh my, and she kind of turns her head, but also covers Lonky's eyes. Don't look. and covers the donkey's eyes as you begin hacking at this thing. Either way, she tries to keep her her gaze averted. But ultimately, as you remove the head, she says, it's kind of gross, but I think I understand what you mean. It probably would give me, it seems, as something valuable to research.
Exactly. How many people are going to be showing up to try to study with the great scholars, and how many of them will have brought something as interesting as this with them?
It's
And I
easy
hand
to
her the severed head.
At least, here, give me a second. You see her go back over to Longy, and she pulls out a small blanket. She kind of just hands it to you. She says, could you at least cover it up before we put it in the bag? I don't want to look at it if I don't have to. But yeah, she'll hand you a blanket to wrap this head in, and it will fit. It's not a huge creature, but I mean it's sizable. But one of the saddlebags that she has across Lonky would be just big enough to fit this one head of this thing. So yeah, you help her out and wrap this thing up. She stuffs it in there, and she says, geez, I don't know what to say. Between this and this silver piece, honestly, this one silver's more than I've made all year. I don't know how to thank you all enough. Here, please. And she starts pulling off more of these threads. Make sure, each of you, to keep a hold of these. I will be a famous scholar one day. Me and Lonky, we'll teach you whatever we can. Well, I will. Lonky's a donkey. I'm not stupid. But I like to talk to him. He's a good friend. He's a good listener. And she kind of giggles at it a little bit, but she gives each of you one of these 6-inch threads of her rainbow collar, or I keep saying collar, it's around her neck, but rainbow scarf, and she says, keep a hold of it as, a way to, kind of represent the debt that she feels that she owes to you and to say thank you. She says, but I think I really should be going. Now that I have this, I don't want it to start to smell. We've got enough work to get to the college by sundown anyway, so that I can turn it in. I guarantee I could probably sell it to them for a good price, and that would help pay for my tuition, or trade to pay for my tuition. This is amazing. I'm really going to get to go. Thank you. And
Good luck.
she actually just like takes a second and she runs back, and I think she would throw you a hug. Like just kind of wraps herself around you for a second and then pulls back like shy a little bit. And then jumps back to Lonky, grabs him by the collar and starts leading him back through the road back to El Terrell.
I watch her go for a second, then turn to the rest of the party and say, "Never let it be said that romance cannot be propagated by gifts of severed flaming wolves' heads."
Fair
I
enough.
gave her the
We
silver
have-
piece. You gave her a head. You're the one who gets hugged. Where is the justice in this?
Where's
So-
the justice?
So while they're
We-
while they're doing all that, Benroll just takes a look down at the big wolf and sees since he was able to discern it was not of normally this plane, given it was, or not, of either celestial or fiend.
It's
I'm guessing it was
definitely-
fiend.
It's
Yeah.
definitely a fiend, yeah.
He can I try to discern if it would be likely for this thing to be in the area for any reason?
Oh yeah. Let's take a look at what skills you possess. I'm trying to think of which ones would be best. Oh, let me pull up your character sheet. I don't have your characters pulled up. Yeah, I'd say you could use nature to compare it to other things in nature, but I was also thinking like if you have religion or anything like that, that would be an option for you, to kind of use history for like a historical reference, any of that stuff. So yeah, kind of let me know what you're rolling, and I'll give you different information based on which stat you use. But yeah, definitely.
They're all through the same, so I'll just go nature.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, go ahead and roll it up.
Oh
and
no,
we'll see
I
what you
don't
figure
know
out.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't seem
Yeah,
natural to you as far as that goes. You know what I mean? It doesn't, seem like anything you've ever seen. And you may not have spent a lot of time here, being from other places of the world. It definitely doesn't seem like anything you've encountered, at least previously, as far as that goes. So it does stand out in its own way, but yeah, you're not 100% sure. I mean, stranger creatures have been seen, within the plains. It could just be some sort of monster or something to that effect. But yeah, it definitely doesn't seem natural just on instinct alone. But you would have no reference to be sure.
Sort of.
Let's see. But yeah, it's at this point you would hear Rhea. Well, I hate to say it, but I think we should either tie up our horse or send them home, take saddles. I don't think we'll be able to take them through the woods with us.
Yeah, not if the trees are as close together as they look. They just get in the way.
Vanril, are you heading back to El Toro? Or would you like to take down some more cultists with us? We do have some work to do.
I definitely won't turn down that offer.
I'm glad to see someone useful. It is very good.
At that point,
Hey!
he actually takes it. This is the first time he actually takes a second to actually look like closely at the other three that are now standing, like the other three of the party.
Maxwell looks like somebody took a 8-year-old anime protagonist, stuck him in leather armor, and then stabbed him repeatedly.
Yeah, definitely just also covered in blood at this point. Like it does, you might have had the wound closed, but it doesn't do shit for your clothing at this point. Yeah, I guess It's to the side of the. Go ahead and give me a quick run. So, like, you gave yours, Numo. What does he see when we see Numo? Because it's kind of interesting to see what you guys look like.
Well, so Numo is he kind of like has that permanent clown makeup. He didn't really apply any this morning, but it's just kind of
Right.
like part of his skin at this point. And then there's all the blood because he too took like a huge bite chunk out of did he get what is his collarbone? Like this whole section
Yeah.
there
Yeah, you were
probably.
attacked collarbone, chest.
Um, and yeah, he's kind of dressed in almost hobo-like attire, like he's a traveling performer,
Right.
and also
Yeah.
like short, half gnome size.
Yeah, it looks like every terrible imagery that you've seen of like the clown the day after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Waking up hungover at a bar somewhere. Awesome. And the last one I guess would be Alejandro. Now Alejandro may not look as amusing, but definitely maybe a bit fancier, right?
Well, Alejandro, if he's not talking and interacting with people, he's been like straightening his clothes, wiping his face off, getting himself cleaned up, and he doesn't have like a he's got a set of nice clothes, but like they're not the nicest you can possibly get, and you can tell he's trying to dress to impress, and he has a very, 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 very floppy hat,
Very floppy hats. I
and he's
definitely,
a human.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh no,
can
he's a
definitely
half
dig
elf.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was about to say half elf as far as he goes.
Yeah,
I
so we,
forgot I can do this. I could have
oh
spent.
yeah.
Yeah, I could do these zoom ins. So we have Alejandro there, very pretty looking guy. We got Numo with with this unusual makeup and attire. Maxwell definitely looks like Zelda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or not Zelda,
Um,
Link. You know.
I was gonna say, hang on.
Yeah, I made the mistake. Yeah. Yeah, got the whole link thing going on there for sure. And now we have Venroll coming in looking like every anime hero you've ever seen. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
just
That's kind of a funny thing. So yeah, he might stand out a little bit to compared to these guys. But yeah,
he just
she
sort of looks.
says, "Oh, good."
Oh, he just sort of looks him over, and then once his eyes gets to Numo, he just kind of stops for a second, just kind of cocks his head, just looking a little confused at first, just like looking
uh,
back to Rhea, and then just
yeah. Rhea, of course, just to kind of give a quick recap of Rhea, she is young herself, so she's kind of surprisingly small of stature and frame for what you'd expect. She is only 17 years old. To us, she would look, maybe Austrian or, again, Russian, in a way, very pale skin, but also kind of that stern expression, like Russian, bad guy, in the movie, you know what I mean, where they kind of come in a little sterner than the average person. But yeah, it kind of has a bit of that, every bad guy look from every action movie ever. But at the same time, with lighter features, she's small of frame, but you can tell an absolute, shredded kind of muscle structure underneath of all of it, where she has incredibly well trained her skills and honed herself. You would know her, by the way, Vanderl. Hans Gruber, nice. You would know her a little bit. Like I said, maybe not a ton. She might have been there when you filled out your paperwork, things like that. You would know that she tends to stick very close to the High Rider, who has taken somewhat of an interest in her, or at least seems to have taken an interest. It may be possible she's the one following more than he is leading. But yeah, you would have seen her at least around the barracks and things like that, always training in the yard, working very hard. And you would know that she is ranked as a junior lieutenant, which is essentially like second lieutenant, you know what I mean? She's working her way up, but not official yet, kind of deal. And you can tell that she has been working hard lately to prove herself to try and reach that status. At this point, though, you do see her start taking all the gear off of her horse, throwing whatever she can in her own bag, things like that. And she leads them over to oh yeah, but her horse is dead, so she leaves it. Unfortunately, yeah, she just kind of does her best, and she removes her things from it. You see her put a hand on its like hind quarter for a second and kind of looks a little sad as she walks away. But she points to the rest of you, the two halflings having ponies, and Alejandro, you had a horse, correct, if I'm not mistaken?
Right.
She says, I believe you can tie them up on the edge of the tree line. It may not be the safest, but it's what we have. We
Okay.
shouldn't be out there too long. I think we should make our way back quickly. But we will move forward on foot. We will be quieter this way.
It's too bad we let Grace go. She could have watched the horses.
This is true.
I
Yes.
don't. I mean, the last credible threat that showed up had her up a tree, so I don't know how useful she would have been if another one showed up.
That is true.
She
She could have
says,
This is
told
very
us
true.
maybe if there were more of those wolves up the trail ahead.
I think if she has seen other wolves, she would have mentioned. Unfortunately, if my horse was still alive, I could tell it to go home. He was smart horse. I don't know so much about these ponies. He kind of points to the two smaller, ponies that you guys have rode in on. Though that one has proven bravery. She kind of looks at Numa as she's like, wait, I did watch him ride it into a group of wolves. She says, remind me when I come back. I give a silver star. It has impressed me.
My pony did very well today.
My pony looks
Exactly.
offended.
I just
My
pet
pony
it.
looks sad. That's good stuff. But yeah, she does her best to kind of kick these three dead wolves off to the side of the road, along with this one that is also missing her head. She pats her horse goodbye as you guys kind of saddle up, or load all three of yours up and tie them to a tree nearby.
Well, and while they're doing that,
Good.
oh yeah, Van Ro sort of just walks up to her and just looks over. Is like, and I thought I was worried about getting in.
She says,
Looking back over to the other three.
It is not as hard to become Hell Rider as it should be. But we have proud history. I am very proud to become Hell Rider. I keep going Spanish with it, man. I just can't hang it. She says, but they do good information gathering. I tease, but they are good at what they do. They are very unnoticed. They can gather information. She kind of leans in. She says, I hope this to be a way of proving myself and doing most of the work myself, I feel will assure my lieutenant. She says, also maybe give them a little credit along the way. And kind of smiles about it.
He just sort of nods and chuckles and just looks at the other three. Well, at least they did seem they did at least a decent job here.
They did kill hell creature. It kind of points at this dead dog. Can't give them shit.
Oh,
Either way, we move. And you see her kind of wave a hand up in the air like, let's roll.
Can I retrieve the squashed remains of the tankard I flung at the wolf earlier?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's got a heavy dent in it, but like it's just a tankard, you wung this thing. If I'm not mistaken, you crit on it, right? So it's pretty dented in, but it's probably it's not like cracked or anything. It might be salvageable. It was
My
all
lucky tankard.
it was all metal, so it's good. But yeah, you guys begin making your way into the woodlines here. So as you make your way into the edge of the forest, you see it, that it's you kind of have the road that you can follow for a certain amount of time. But the area that you are heading to is kind of a known location that used to belong to a druid's grove, as Rhea explains it to you. It used to be used for druid rituals and things like that, but that was where the rumored location of these cultists were using. It's long overgrown, very rarely used by anyone, but it was once mentioned for religious ceremony. If any of you guys have lived here long enough and made your way in and out of town a few times, you may have heard of it, or even, if you've explored the woods before, passed by it a time or two. And it's just, an area where several standing stones have been placed, and you could tell may have once been a site of some, religious, again, just kind of a nice spot in the woods for druidic rituals to be performed, among nature. The significant part that you're aware of that made it probably so interesting is there's a place where a stream runs through the area. The stream breaks around a small little landmass, so you end up with this strange kind of moat around a very small island. I mean, we're talking like 10 foot by 10 foot across. It's not very big, but a large stone was on top of that, and that's what held the dirt that kept the water splitting around this instead of just traveling through the area. So it almost kind of forms like a little moat around this central platform, and that was, probably why it was considered a place of like nature's wonder how the water had traveled around this one little area. But yeah, as you're making your way down through there, you do find a couple of things. So as you're making your way through, you can follow the road so far, and the road should theoretically lead you pretty close by. You'll have to break off of there and head into the woods, but you'll be most noticed. You could head through the woods and try to enter the area directly without being noticed, but risk the chance of being lost in the woods, so to speak, or coming in at the wrong location. Or you do find the stream that is attached that runs through that area. You could head up the stream, things like that, and use it for some means of cover to protect yourself. But again, you're unsure as to which option may be best. But Rhea would point out all three options and say, I hate to admit it, but my tracking is not so good. I will leave this part to you. I am a good fighter, but tracking is not my strong suit. Do you have a suggestion? And kind of looks to the remainder of you guys as to which route you would like to choose.
I'm no tracker myself.
I have limited knowledge of nature and limited knowledge of survival.
We can take direct route. I'm fine with direct route too. If we find things there, we kill them.
Well, we do still have the disguises.
Oh, we still have those robes.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. I'd forgotten. We do have cult robe. And she pulls into her pack and kind of rummages around, pulls out, to show that she's got several of these cultist-looking robes as far as that goes.
What if we disguise?
They are ugly, but yes, you were going on about disguise.
What if we disguise these two as our prisoners and we throw the robes on? We can walk them straight into the camp.
Oh, can I be prisoner?
I did kill one or two of them not that long ago.
Are you upset over fashion? You rather be prisoner? Is this my understanding?
Oh.
I take a long time to set this up. I do not want to cover it with this ugly robe.
She just kind of puts her head down, a little bit of a face palm, and just like giggles to herself. She found that amusing. You know what I mean? I applaud your bravery for being a prisoner, I guess. I am well
Well-
known. Some know me. If you want to go this route, I may look like prize capture.
Hmm. What do we think?
Wait, so
If
We're
I
the
have
guys who
to, I
captured
will
you?
wear a robe. She's making a good point.
Yeah,
She says,
the
I
three
have
of
no.
us here.
There is maybe multiple prisoner. If you guys
As the
remember, I think there was only like 3 or 4 robes. So between you all now, there's 5 of you. At least one of you would have to go without a robe.
Yeah.
But 2 of you could do the same as well. Either way you want to go about it.
Yeah. I
as
figured the two with notoriety should be the prisoners, and then the
Yeah.
three, well, for lack of a better way to phrase it, nobodies, throw the robes on, and we're the faceless cultists.
I
as
also, I did not want to point this out, but I thought it might look strange that there were 2 less than tall people leading as prisoners, 3 relatively tall people. It might look strange to the cultists.
I
I give
have
him the longest, coldest stare that a 2 foot tall gnome can give.
well,
I mean,
was the,
if the road fits, that would be
Yeah.
my concern.
It is common, more human, but I have seen gnome cultist. The dagger is nearly as big as they are. She kind of giggles to that effect as well. But she starts pulling out these clothes, and among them, so you find that there are, several robes. As I had mentioned before, as far as the halfling size robes, there were dwarf size robes. Mixed in among these, they would be kind of baggy on you, but the right height, so they aren't like dragging the ground like a kid wearing their parents' t-shirt. You know what I mean? They would be the right height up and down, but definitely would be a little bit baggy on you, maybe. But they're robes, so that's kind of a hanging, outfit anyway. But as she starts pulling them out, you do see that she also had 3 of these daggers that each had a dragon's head kind of curled up at the top of the dagger itself. Or on the hilt of the dagger, the handle. And she also produces 3 masks that you didn't see that she had previously. But these masks almost have like a draconic look to them with, these kind of spiked horns that come off, and it definitely gives a very draconic sense to it. If any of you have ever encountered, previous cultist issues before, this is definitely associated to Cult of the Dragon and things like that. It's sort of a ritualistic mask. She says, I don't think they wear these every day, but could be, to hide face.
so while they're thinking about that, Vanderbilt takes a look at Numa where he took a big chunk out of the take a big chunk out of it. If I'm not mistaken, that was you, right? Where you got bit by the wolf in the last one.
Numo had the
Yes.
collarbone injury.
Yeah.
The other one had just straight throat ripped out.
Yeah. So he looks at 2 of them and tries
I whip.
to see how bad they still are, or like
That's a
if
good
they're
question.
still yeah.
That is a fairly good question. Rhea looks fine, but as for as for the rest of everybody else, yeah, how rough do you look? I can't remember exactly where your HPs are.
I'm at 7 out of 17, so Maxwell looks like something ripped his throat out and then kind of super glued it back into place quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, we by the
'Cause,
way,
everyone
guys,
knows what
just for the crowd watching, is we did level up after last session. So yeah, we did get the players to level up their characters. So yeah, you would have got all of those hit points kind of added on for free in a way. So that should
okay.
help a little. Yeah, whatever you would have added, you know what I mean, for your level, just go ahead and take those. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a refresh there, But yeah, that's a bit of might be a bit of a help, but ultimately, yeah, still probably not all at full or anything. Alejandro, did you take any damage? I don't think you did, right?
Alejandro is at full hit points.
That's what I thought. Nemo took a few hit points, but with your level up, you would have got those as kind of a bonus.
I was gonna say I got the
Numo's
level up
shoulders a
hit
bit
points.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, not. Numo's shoulder's a bit stiff, but it'll do.
Cool.
I've seen worse. Bones ache all the time at my age.
You'll always know when it's gonna rain.
That's exactly it.
Good.
She says, well, I think we have planning. Put on robes. We take halfling prisoner.
Wait, what?
What? What?
Yeah, she was or wait, was it the other way around? I kind of thought that you guys were saying you weren't sure about the robes being half size, so I wasn't sure. Yeah,
No,
if you guys are putting them on, if you're already putting on robes, she's just like, you can loosely tie me, whatever. She's okay with it either way.
Which one of us should be the other prisoner then? If there's only 3 robes, right?
Yeah, I think she said she had like three robes, 3 masks, 3 daggers. You know what I mean? Was kind of the thing. So
And 2 of them are half-size robes?
two
Or
of
what?
them are two of them are dwarven size. So yeah, they probably actually would be for you guys. Yeah. So that would mean the 2 of you, maybe Alejandro. So either Alejandro, Van Roll, and her. 2 of you would have to play as prisoner. 1 of you could wear the robes. That's up to you guys.
Alejandro,
What
do you want to flip a coin?
Yeah, would you rather be prisoner or rather be cultist? And she's fine either way. I'll grab a soda. I can still hear you in my earpiece though.
No, I am not happy about the robe. I will wear the robe and I will be cultist.
right?
So I start putting on the robe.
Okay. Gotcha. Sorry, I figured I'd go ahead and just
Okay.
grab the sodas while I was thinking about it. Brilliant. All right. So yeah, you guys saddle up in these robes. They're not the best fitting. They weren't tailored for you, but they're robes. They're easy to throw on. She hands each one of you a dagger and one of these masks, and you could choose whether to cover your face or not, as far as that goes. But you look like cultists all of a sudden. She says, "It's strange. I want to kill you already. I cannot
I get
wait
that a
to
lot.
find these cultists. I do not like fanatics."
Should we keep our obvious weapons on us if we're going to be taken prisoner?
I think if you sheathe them, it should be okay.
All right.
Keep them in sheath. She says, "Take this," and she starts cutting out lengths of rope to about 3 foot, and she says, "Wrap them around our hands, but do not tie them. This way you can kind of make it look as if you are bound and led by it, but you can quickly kind of throw them off and still work to your advantage." So you guys begin making your way up through the woods. Bear with me here 1 second while I check our map here. That's right. I keep forgetting I can do this on 2 screens now. This is nice. Still getting used to this. I set up this other little laptop here just so I'd have a way to do that.
As we're traveling there, I'm going to be using prestidigitation to try to remove blood from as much of people's clothing as possible, so we don't look like we all fell down a flight of stairs onto knives before we got there.
That is probably a
And-
fair point.
I'm
And
hoping the rope covers it a little.
as you're doing that, he kind of looks back and he just he's like, wait a moment before they fully start going. Takes a knife and puts a scratch across his own cheek. Sort of a little bit of blood starts to drip down, and just goes, puts it back away. And it's like, okay,
Nice. This guy's
can't look like we
fucking
came in too easy.
hard. I think Ray would kind of look at this and nice. You know what I mean? Like she's a little impressed. I will say take 1 point of damage.
Yeah.
If you're gonna take a little scratch, it's just a scratch, but yeah,
Yeah, of course.
enough to make it look good.
I watch this for a moment and then quietly ask him, couldn't we have just taken some of the blood we already had and just kind of like smeared it on your face?
Well,
I could have drawn a line.
if you, I mean, you could have. He just sort of like shrugs like, you could
He's
have.
like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I could have done that. All right.
I mean, at least it looks more real because, well, it is.
Lesson learned, I guess, right? That's
Still
good
still doesn't
stuff.
seem too bothered with it, just like,
Yeah, right. Kind of one of those things. But let's go ahead and switch you over to the proper map here. So as you guys make your way down, you follow the road for a long way, and then there is a trail that leads off of the road that you know that leads to this kind of ritual site that's been commonly used before. And as you are making your way down, you guys start in this lower corner here. Which one is it? That one. You guys start off down here in this lower corner. Connect here. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, again, like I was just explaining to these guys, I gotta pay my stupid internet bill. They always throttle it for a day or two until the payment goes through. I don't know why they do this to me. Probably should have refreshed. Let me also make sure I'm not running anything in the background here that doesn't need to be running. What is that? There's some sort of an update going on. Maybe that's my problem. I don't know what that is. Let's exit that. Just exiting all these unnecessary programs. Yeah, it had some sort of an update going on. Maybe that was my problem. We might refresh during the break as well, just to kind of make sure we get it. But yeah, you begin making your way down through this trail, heading towards the known site where you know this stream to come through. And just before you get there, you see a man standing in the middle of the path, leading up towards this area. He does have his back turned to you, so he hasn't noticed you yet. And you guys are, of course, further than 10 feet away. I'm just trying to fit you on the map. How would you guys like to approach?
Does he look like a cultist?
He is absolutely wearing the exact same type of robes that you are. And let's see, based on perception, you guys might even start to see a couple of the little spikes and tines that would be reminiscent of the masks that you guys each wear as well. Or if you put them on, but those masks that you were given that look like kind of dragon-esque, if you look at the artwork here, of course, that is, the mask there. It's just kind of reminiscent of dragons.
I look
But
to our
yeah,
party's most charismatic member.
Yeah, you might see a little bit of that sticking up beyond the hood.
I put my mask on.
Okay, go ahead and put mask up. Reyes is, there is one there. Prepare. She puts her head down and, make sure to hold her hands close to her chest to look like a prisoner. And she looks kind of downtrodden as you, are carrying her along through. Do you guys just keep approaching casually?
Do you want me to say
with the
something?
prisoner.
Do you want me to say something?
Yes, yeah, you can do the talking. I'll stay with the prisoners and make sure they stay in line. Worst case scenario, it's just one, so we get an extra robe out of it.
That's true.
That is a definite possibility. Cool. So you guys just kind of keep approaching straight up towards this individual then, correct?
When we're like about halfway there, I say, we have prisoners. Prisoners for the cult.
Would they call themselves a cult?
We're going to find out, I guess.
That's fair.
Yeah. So as you call out to this individual, you say, we have prisoners and things to that effect. There's no response. He doesn't even turn around, doesn't seem to acknowledge you, just keeps standing there holding his position. There's no
I
reply,
keep
he doesn't
walking.
say any words, anything like that. You guys continue walking, and strange enough, again, he doesn't seem to turn or acknowledge you, almost like he just doesn't even care about your existence. But as you make your way up finally alongside him, and as you step around, cautiously, of course, but as you step around this creature, or person, sorry, and make their way, as you come to the front of them, you see a sight that you were unable to see from the previous side. As you make your way around, you see that this person has a spear lodged directly in their chest so heavily that it is penetrated into the ground at his feet, and he is hung there like a human scarecrow standing in the middle of this roadway, held at a solid position, with blood dripping from the wound rather heavily and pooling up lightly under his feet. But from the other side, the robes were obscuring this. This man is absolutely dead. I hate to
How
do
intact
it.
do the robes look?
They're good. They're good robes. But I think this is our 10 o'clock point, so we could take our 15 now, and then we have the rest of the time to do it, and that'd be a good place to kind of pause for a second, if that's all right with you guys. That gives me a second to refresh this anyway, to make sure it's not on my end. I keep seeing that we disconnected that once or twice. I want to make sure it's not on my end. But yeah, you guys found a dead cultist, and he's dressed like you, so that might kind of change things. The situation has just escalated
Off,
for
Get
sure.
off. Get him off.
It might not be such a good idea to have these robes on.
Yeah, right.
This
You
one
want
wasn't
the
me, guys.
positions.
On second thought, I'm
Apparently,
gonna go home.
they attract spears.
Yeah, there's definitely a large metal spear that's just been impaled straight down through the guy to leave him look like a human scarecrow at this point. But yeah, guys, if you don't mind, we're gonna go ahead and take a few minute break. I'm seeing a little like lag and hesitation on my screen. I want to make sure to get that fixed before we move on. But yeah, you guys hang tight. And we will be back to continue our adventure. We're going to take like a 15-minute break, so at 10:15 Eastern Standard, we'll come back and we'll continue our adventure. This gives you guys plenty of time to go use your own restroom breaks and grab yourself drinks, whatever you may need. But also, definitely make sure to take a second to head over to ko-fi.com/tabletop down and check out what stuff we got on the store there. That's where you'll find all these cool things. So all of our in-game rewards, so that you can buy these guys advantage. You can give these guys advantage, give them healing potions, give them random elixirs and potions, or you can help the bad guys as well. You can help the bad guys have advantage. Give the DM advantage, essentially. One for the castle, as Wology would say. But yeah, there's ways that you can help either the good or bad team in this situation. And all those are listed at ko-fi.com/tabletop down. You can check it out. There is a link below. There's a link in the chat. I think it's on this side. If you take a look right above, there's a ko-fi.com link there that you can head over and check those things out to our store page. But yeah, give us 15 minutes. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to refresh things. If you see the stream drop for a second, it will come right back up. I'm just going to go ahead and refresh. This way I know that everything on my end is running smoothly. But yeah, hang tight, guys, and we'll be right back. Thank you guys for watching with us, and I hope you enjoy. Give us a second.